Yes, it is. So I'd like to welcome everybody here on this, the 10th of February, for our regularly scheduled school board meeting. We do have a full quorum here present with Trustee Schwartle, Trustee Graves, Trustee Baker, Trustee Clayton. We have our student board representative, Ms. Asia Pettingale, here with us as well as our superintendent, Dr. Gwen Carroll Holmes. I'd like to welcome everybody here. Thank you for joining us. We have a packed house today. That's good to see. So with that, will you all please stand with me and join me with the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, here it is.
All right, moving forward. Ms. Kaufman, are there any additions, modifications, substitutions, deletions to the current agenda?
There are two amendments to the current agenda. One is an addition, and that's in the decision section of the consent agenda. And that is application for study travel by student group, Elise DeClotz, Wood River High School special education teacher. The second amendment is a deletion, and that is also under the decision section. It's item B, consideration of recommendation for insurance broker. And that item will be on the next regular agenda.
All right. Thank you very much. Do I hear a motion to amend the agenda as read?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Agenda is amended. And with that, we'll move on to our accolades, of which I believe we have one.
We do. We have one this evening, and it's extremely special, I think, because it was submitted by a student. So I was going to ask Amy Swanson to stand, but she's already standing. She gave up her chair. How nice. This accolade says, Mrs. Swanson is a great asset to the school district. One would be hard-pressed to find another teacher who cares more about her students. I myself have been in 3 of her classes and have seen firsthand how much she cares. I've heard the disappointment in her voice when she finds out a student failed a test, or the joy when another passes one of her exams. For the students who do fail, it is more a case of the student's own lack of effort rather than Amy's lack of teaching. I am one of many students who have taken advantage of her many Sunday review sessions and her after-office hours help. She has put more time in with students than any other teacher that I have encountered. Her students' AP scores reflect the success that she has teaching the class. I'm retaking BC Calculus this year in college and have had to survive off what I remember from her class. We won't send that to the college. The organization of her class itself could be a reason she is so successful. Every unit has its own schedule that she hands out, and then she follows the plan. There are no surprises or homework to forget because they are laid out in the plan. Even I, a student with awful organizational habits, compiled a neat binder filled with notes, tests, and homework in chronological order. This made it very easy to study and was a great example of how to stay organized. In finishing, Ms. Swanson is a gem of the Wood River High School for many reasons, most notably being the effort and energy she brings to her job. Submitted by Andrew Graves, her former student.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for everything, Amy.
Okay. With that, I'll turn the time over to Principal Glenn for his school report for the Silver Creek High School.
So there's 3 things I'd like to report tonight. I'm going to share with you the waiver to the State Department of Education, that progress. And then we have a student that's going to, Wade Allen's going to talk about our LTI, our internship program. And then Adam's going to share out with you folks how we're meeting competency with standards. Okay? So first of all, We have submitted our letter to the State Department of Education requesting a waiver from the Carnegie unit. That letter's been submitted. We're going to follow up very shortly, within a week, an evaluation plan regarding the efficacy of Big Picture, and that will go to the State Department. And once they review that and accept that, we will receive a waiver for 3 years, releasing us from the Carnegie unit and go into a competency-based program. And so we're going to submit that evaluation plan within a week. And we're going to actually work on that tomorrow morning. Okay, so if you have any questions about that, I'll turn this over to Mr. Allen. And Wade, our student, is going to talk about our internship program.
Can we adjust the light somewhere in between where it was and where it is, or is it not adjustable?
These cans are dimmable, those are not.
Can we turn these dimmable lights on the side there?
There you go. Yep, that's
Other
it.
side.
There's one more switch for the dimmer.
Flip the switch.
There's a switch
At the
And
bottom.
then do the,
There we go.
There we go. That's good. Thank you.
Well, I'm Wade Allen, and I've been doing an internship at AutoWorks through Silver Creek, learning to become a mechanic, and definitely a very hands-on learning experience. I feel like I'm learning a lot about math and science and even history about the engines and like when the cars were made and all that. And
Yeah, tell them about the Mustang.
oh yeah, and well, mostly at AutoWorks, I just do transmission work, taking transmissions out, rebuilding them, putting them back in. I've done a couple drivetrains, and today they put me on this 1969 Mustang 302.
Fun.
They're rebuilding it from the ground up, and right now it's nothing but a body tub with the engine in it. And today I took out the old flywheel, which is it's the rotor that turns the engine, and I took it out and replaced it with a new one. And then I took the transmission off the floor and power washed it, cleaned it, and put new fluids in it. And I'm hoping to put it in on Thursday.
So essentially it's your project for the
Yeah,
next,
and
how
it's
long are
gonna
you going to
be
be working on it?
Probably for like, it took me to get that 1950 Chevy, took like a month sitting in the shop. So this one's gonna take like 3-4 months.
Wow.
It's his project.
Yeah, because they're so busy doing oil changes and services that this Mustang just sits there and doesn't get worked on until I'm there every Tuesday and Thursday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's an incredible experience and an
Yeah,
opportunity.
it is. I'm really enjoying it.
Excellent. Excellent.
We've got several students that are out on what we call LTIs, learning through internships. I'm going to go through a bunch of these slides really quick because I'd like to get just to the meat of it. I sort of synthesized 2 different presentations, one that we presented to the State Department and then another one to the Chamber of Commerce. But in any event, next slide. The big picture learning philosophy is to educate one student at a time. We've been taking field trips. We bring the kids out in the community quite a bit. We've got a lot of support. Please play this video. Just click on the video. This is over at Friedman Memorial Airport. Could you click on the video, the picture? Oh, who's the mouse?
Right.
Where's the mouse?
Okay. Go back up to where
Yeah, just click right in the middle and it should play. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
And hit allow. Maybe. Works faster in the classroom. Is it not loading? Any suggestions, Tim? Okay, we'll skip it. Just close that out, please. Yeah, this was a community member, Kim, who worked there, and he just to have the kids in his shop and him sharing what he did with, what he does on a day-to-day basis was really important to him, and virtually everybody that we're working with. Next slide. This is the process of learning through internships. We start out with Who Are You projects. We move to interviews where the students are interviewing the different folks on the job. We have a job shadow day, then we move to an LTI setup meeting. This is one that Jeremy's running right now with Tor and Tim Recco. Then the internship begins. Exit interviews, we have exhibitions, these are primarily the assessments. We have portfolio assessment, we do lots and lots of discussion. My report cards for my students were 3 pages long, which is a big long narrative, which gives the students much better feedback than just a standard letter grade. You can skip this is a film too. And this one, oh, I wish I could show you. You guys have this on stock, so be sure to watch this one. This young man has been learning quite a bit from his internship. Next slide.
What's his internship?
He was working out at Run, and he was the one that was the most engaged in that particular internship out of about 5 kids that were working there. I just did a quick little savings. Numbers always mean something. So our students, since they started collecting the data on their internships and community service hours, 969 hours as of the 30th of January. If you just translate that into $7.25 an hour, that's about $7,000 savings for these employers that have been actually taking these kids and actually teaching them on the job, sort of through apprenticeship training. Right now, we have about 76% of the students that have had an LTI experience or a job shadow day. Next slide. You can skip through these slides. You don't need to spend too much time on them because I want to really get to how we're actually measuring standards and keeping track of what's going on. It's a real daunting task for a classroom teacher such as myself in science, English, or social studies, or math to try and track what's going on. And it's all based on this document right here called a learning plan. The learning plan is designed by the student and me as an advisor. And the student sets the deadlines, they work at their pace, they monitor their progress, and we help them along the way, as well as their mentors on their internship. We're hoping to really get more projects oriented with the internships this next semester. These are the learning goals, very similar to Common Core and IB learner profiles. One of the things that we do is we do checks. This particular document is one that we run and create for the projects that actually students develop. And what you can see on here, excuse me, we do the essential question, the goals, and then these are the different tasks. We actually personally sign off on them, but we also match them with state standards in different subjects. Next slide. This is a document that we first started using. What we do is we document the assessment that the student, whether it was a performance assessment, a presentation, papers, discussions, Socratics, or what have you, and then we'd sign off that they mastered the particular standard. We don't sign off until they demonstrate that they understand the standard. So in other words, you don't get credit until you get the credit. So, next slide. Some of you might be familiar with, don't call them 9th grade, we call them 101, and then 201, 301, and 401 respectively. You don't level up until you get the credit and we sign off on the standards. So it's all based on leveling up. It's similar to game theory. And there's really 3 aspects of it. One is the big picture leveling up requirements. Then we have our individual subject leveling requirements. And then we also have our learning through internship processes, which are also a leveling up process as well. Next slide. Yay, okay, this is probably what you wanted to see. We have found that actually a visual representation of the grade tends to carry more weight with the students. Basically, their job is to just progress, just like you'd have on a game, where you can see your leveling bar and see how close and how far you have to go in order to level up. One of the things that I started developing, and I realized that later on, is actually color coding the different kinds of assessments in order to get those particular points and credits, or what we call experience points. And so I started doing that now and tracking that as well. Over here, you've got, if you've ever played Titanfall, you have prestige points. Essentially, they're credits, and so we document those on the right. And so a student, once they reach the bar, they can start over and go again. Yeah.
So is this gaming theory leveling up part of Big Picture? Or is that something you guys are doing?
You know, they
Kind of-
don't use the gaming theory concept. They don't call it that, but they do use the term leveling up. And
Okay.
so then when I started doing the leveling up and gaming stuff last year, and Big Picture came along,
They were like a
so,
perfect
yeah.
merge?
Yeah, exactly.
And are all the teachers doing it the same way?
Yes, yes.
Very creative.
Another teacher uses X's, not color.
Oh.
Next slide. This is my last slide. This is what I also wanted to show you guys too, because not only are we doing that, but we're tracking specifically what standards. Up at the top, you can see the different state standards that are listed. Big, huge spreadsheet. And so in any event, what we do is we just monitor which standards the students have met and exceeded or mastered, and we go ahead and make a note in there. It's really successful. The kids seem to understand it a lot more. You know, there's still a lot of shifting that we have to do from old school thinking to new school thinking, and so there's a little bit of wear and tear on everybody with this process, but it's, I think, going to turn out to be spectacular for the students that have coupled with the internships and engagement. Well, just as an anecdote, one of the things I wanted to notice right away is the improvement in attendance of my students. I was there last year, and then compared this year to last year, with even the same students, their attendance has been better, which is good. Do you guys have any questions?
I just have a comment.
Yeah.
I'm just very impressed with the creativity of changing the EduSpeak terms that we use to make it relatable to the students. With the gaming theory, I think that's very clever and probably very well received and impressive.
Oh yeah, everybody plays it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I didn't think like that. So,
Trustee
yeah.
Graves.
I just have some questions about the internships. How many kids are doing internships? And could you give us just some examples? We've got Road to Run and the...
We've got my own son is over at Luke's Pharmacy.
I
You've
saw
seen
him
in the
there.
Community a lot. We have one young lady that's actually out at the animal shelter. I have actually the person that came up last week to our school from the State Department. I brought her over to Randy's Kitchen, and Kevin's there, and he basically cooked up everything for us. We have one young lady that's working over at the Sawtooth Animal Center, and that one gives me chills because she's actually assisting on surgeries now. And in fact, the advisor that visited today described in gory detail the things that she was doing that she never would have fathomed she was doing.
Right.
But the internships are really an important opportunity because, like, for example, I had a student that also went to a similar veterinary one. He loves dogs. He's a dog, everything's dogs. So I was like, okay, how about that? Okay, so we went to the, arranged it, got him a shadow day. He went up there and he just about passed out. So he was exactly one. Of course, they had to pull a tapeworm out of the dog. So that was done. He was done. He ended it, and that's good. But see, this way the kids get to try and try and try until they find something that they really like, and then they just go with it. Wade has been very fortunate. He's actually his attendance has improved too. He's just amazing in what he's been doing with his LTI. I'm just afraid that he'll want to just go there instead of coming to school on Monday.
So do they start in junior year? I mean, is it freshmen through seniors? Is it just juniors and seniors? Or how does that work?
Freshmen through seniors. They can have the same LTIs. They can have different LTIs. A couple of them are paid. Some kids really like just trying, tasting, all kinds of stuff. So they just job shadows every week. They're on a new one. It's a lot more work for me.
How many kids have internships?
Right now, I think we're sending out 17 Thursday.
Wow.
So we're getting there. I'd like to get them all out, but it's really hard to get the kids nailed down to an interest. And there's really a lot of apprehension. There's, people are scared to, they're going out alone.
It's different.
Great, thank you.
Trustee Schwartle.
Quick comment. I just wanted to say thanks. I know that there was a few people that it took to get here, because this is a real outside-the-box thing. And the first person that I know about was Tim Rocco. who's the ultimate big picture person I think that I know in the district. And then Mike Glenn, who just jumped in with both feet, so passionate. And Gwen Carroll, I have to say thank you for just taking a leap of faith there. And then the kids, Journey, I know you and Wade, and you're making it happen with your enthusiasm. So it's really impressive.
We appreciate it, everyone's efforts, and the community at large for supporting our students and allowing them to do this. It's a wonderful opportunity for our students.
Really important community commitment on this.
I should have thanked you too, because you're making it happen in such a big way. I know that you came from the high school and jumped in with 2 feet. It was really, you're so passionate about it.
And I brought you a present too. That's our first iteration of our LTI manual. That is, every single thing in there was completely created by us, our faculty. Absolutely. It's the one with the pictures on it.
Great, thank you.
So I hope you look at that.
We'll have fun looking
If
through
you have
them.
any questions, just.
All right,
Thank you,
thank you
Adam.
very much, we appreciate it. All right, we'll go ahead and continue with the public comment section of the board meeting. And I've received 3 as of yet, and we'll go ahead and start with the order they arrived. So, Ms. Dyer, would you please go ahead and step up? If you would, please, we have a seat for you with a microphone, and remember to state your name and address for the record, please.
You probably know that I retired last year, and I've been having a great time. But coming on. Hi, to consider, and that would be some kind of emeritus designation on our school website, whether you would call it teachers emeritus or educator emeritus. Anyway, there should be a link on our webpage with maybe a list of our retired teachers. This would honor their professional contributions to our school district and make them feel proud to have had that connection with our community. It would be a hall of fame for our former educators and testify to their lifetime achievement. Our teachers sacrifice much of their time, their family, and Lord only knows even their young life, to the needs of our young people. And so I have 3 thoughts kind of behind this that made me have this on my mind and want to suggest it to you. And the first one is because my neighbors and people I conduct business with, or random people I run into hiking or wherever, are often former students. And I feel strengthened and better connected as a community member. And I owe these good relationships to my service with Blaine County School District. Secondly, in Dr. Holmes' listening tour with the retired group, some members expressed how they felt detached, out of the loop, and so on. I haven't experienced this yet because maybe I'm too new, but many of these retirees at that session had been out of service for several years. And the third thing is, I'm currently in touch from time to time with a small number, about 17, retired Blaine County school teachers. And I email them when I get something from the SDE, the IEA, or the state board that comes up. I mean, since I've retired, I realized there are so many opportunities out there. Everyone wants you to do something, and they want to pay you, as well. So, there are lots of scoring opportunities from Pearson or evaluating online classes. Anyway, so I can only do so much, so I pass it on to these 17 people. So, anyway, I would just like for you to consider such honorary designation for our retired friends. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up. Thank you. Next up, we have Nancy Linscott, please.
Close. You need to have a basket.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Hello there. My name is Nancy Linscott, and by way of introduction, I'm a Haley resident. I live at 501 4th Avenue North. I'm a parent of a Blaine County student, but not a Blaine County School District student. She is a Blaine County Public School student, though. And I'm here tonight primarily to just kind of off the cuff be a voice for choice as you embark on your strategic planning process. Basically, I want to paint a picture really quickly and try to give you a chance to visualize this very off-topic seeming thing, but I'll bring you back home with it in a second. If any of you ever grew up in a town that had a FERS cafeteria in it, a smorgasbord that you can go into and pick a bunch of things off the long line of food, and if it was where I lived, it was probably a FERS cafeteria, and on it there was probably mashed potatoes and white rice, and there was probably fried chicken and a whole bunch of other fried stuff. And it was all right. You know, you'd go down the line and you could pick some food out and it would stick to your ribs and it would get the job done. But you live here, and I bet there are some of you have been to the LDR dining room on maybe an Easter Sunday brunch. And that's no FERS cafeteria. You go down there and it's, wow. I mean, I don't know who you are, but if you go in there and if you don't feel like a queen or a king with the food choices that are on there, then I just don't even know what to say about that. But it's a shining example of how wonderful it is to have choice in all facets of life. And again, I would think that being a voice for choice, I want to just point out that the school district right now boasts a few different options that are quite wonderful. We have Alturas now, the new magnet school, which was one reason why I originally did enroll my child down at Woodside, even though that's not my neighborhood school, was because of that opportunity to be in the DI program, and hearing it would be a magnet was of great joy and interest to me. As this gentleman just spoke to, we have Silver Creek Alternative High School, which is a fabulous opportunity also for those who need that type of thing in the valley, because it isn't one size fits all. So I'm just wondering, as we embark on your strategic planning process, if we could consider enhancing the smorgasbord by bringing in and possibly opening up a very meaningful and enriching dialogue with Syringa Mountain School. I am now a parent of a child who goes there. We made that choice in our family, basically at the request of my 8-year-old daughter, who wanted to check it out. She just wanted to see. She had heard about it. I had gone to some meetings, but in the end we were on the fence, didn't think we'd do it, thought, yeah, I might change if things are improving. They were improving because she was a kid who wasn't fitting the mold. She had gone down the path of being diagnosed ADHD for her lack of attention in class. Zoning out was the report we got at every conference we went to. She was having a difficult time, but things seemed to be changing, so we were on the fence and thought maybe we better not rock the boat and whatever, until one day she said to me, well, Mommy, I would like to see for myself what it's all about. So I said, well, why don't we arrange a meeting and go check it out? And we did. And by the first week of school, my daughter came off that bus saying it was the best day she'd ever had in the school. And by the third week, when she enjoyed her first sick day, she didn't want to be sick. And I said, boy, you must really like school. And she said, Mommy, thank you so much for letting me check that out. It's a better fit for me. An 8-year-old told me that. It's a better fit for me. And by golly, we don't seem to have ADHD anymore either. It's really amazing. She was just cured. And I don't say that anything is wrong with where she was, but it didn't fit. It didn't fit my kid. It didn't fit the children of about 130 families in this valley right now who are currently parents of Syringa students, parents of Blaine County Public School children. And I'll speak to the inequity another day, because I know I don't have time in terms of where our tax dollars go. But basically, I just want to really ask that we seriously consider how wonderful it would be if the district would consider bringing up a meaningful dialogue with Syringa, viewing it as a possible ginormous enhancement to the smorgasbord of offerings. It would be cutting edge in the nation to have a Waldorf-inspired curriculum public school within the district. It would be a model out there. Change in education is all over the media. Change is happening. It's unavoidable. People are looking for choices throughout the country. I think that this is the opportunity to do it. it's right here, it's right now. It's an awesome opportunity to go do that. So on that note, I guess that's all I really had to say. I'm Nancy. I'm the voice for choice. I probably will be back because I really want this to become an issue during the strategic planning process and not put off for a later day when you have nothing else on your plate, which probably never happens. But thank you.
All right, appreciate it. And we also have Mr. Dennis McGonigal. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
Hi, thank you for hearing me. When I saw Wood River High School course edition, I've been thinking about something for about a year, and it's a bold dialogue to have maybe, but let's start that with a bold idea and kind of how it would look if we had this in our public schools. It's about a Wood River outdoor program. The Wood River Outdoor Program is an alternative approach to education offering access to all students with benefits such as sports and fitness, leadership skills, certifications such as first aid and wilderness first responder, environmental science, and an opportunity for public service opportunities. Some of the programming would include, but would not be limited to, team building, collaboration, outdoor education, skill building, including social skills, mentoring, improved health, and lifetime sports. Not all kids are involved in team sports in our valley, and as a result have limited access to school-based fitness and exercise. The outdoor program could fill that void with activities such as hiking, skiing, climbing, whitewater boating, and general outdoor activities that are healthy and active. In this program, we will give kids the tools for lifelong activities that will benefit them, their families, and their communities. Leadership is something we talk about and basically understand but rarely practice. The outdoor program will be an introduction to leadership, building characteristics such as social skills, mentoring, teamwork, self-esteem, and empowerment. The basic format would be collaborative planning and problem solving in an open forum, a practice currently being used by large global corporations to excel in business and ensure success. Everyone is involved, and by bringing their bit of expertise to the table, they gain empowerment and leadership skills and ensure a successful outcome for the trip they are planning with their peers. The planning process is completely student-driven, and as facilitators, the adults are there only as safety nets. Not only is outdoor education a way of life, but for many professionals, it is a career. Our program will start with basic programming and certifications such as basic CPR and first aid. With the help of outside resources, the kids will have opportunities to take on avalanche training, swift water rescue, and even wilderness first responder courses. Our goal would be to work with local outfitters and guides to place kids in summer jobs and programs that will enhance what they learn in our program. Outdoor education is growing in the U.S. Currently in the U.S., there are 36 outdoor education graduation programs, grad programs. Resources are abound in the Northwest and Idaho, and especially in this place we call home. We have the Blaine County Recreation District, the YMCA, Sun Valley Ski Education Foundation, just to name a few. Some of the West's best sporting goods and fishing shops dot the landscape in our cities. Our skiing and hiking is unparalleled, and our access to natural resources and outdoor playgrounds is unmatched by many places in the world. We have the Nature Conservancy, Wood River Land Trust, and the ERC with which to form symbiotic relationships. We also have the resources from the University of Idaho, Boise State, the College of Southern Idaho, and local communities such as the community school and other local programs. So that is just an idea that I went to school at the U of I and went through a program like this, and I think it would be great to start a conversation about that.
All right. Thank you very much. And if you wouldn't mind making sure Lori has a copy of the prepared statement that you've shared. All right. That concludes the ones that I had. Lori, do you have any others?
No, I do not.
All right. We will go ahead and move forward then with the superintendent report by Dr. Holmes.
Good evening. I just want to take this opportunity, and anytime I get the opportunity, to say please participate in our strategic planning. Trustees, staff members, community members, we want to hear all voices in the community, and we want to consider all options that there are, such as those that were brought before us tonight. Right now, the online survey is currently out there to help us prioritize what we as a community have in common in our educational values and what we believe the district's mission should be. Our second round of meetings will be the week of February 23rd, and we'll start working on goal setting, what should be the major next steps for our district. So please participate in that all you can. The second thing I have for you is the graduation rate changes. You received a memo on this, so I won't go through it line by line, but just a couple of things. First of all, this is a new way of counting graduation rate in the state of Idaho. It has been the requirement of the U.S. Department of Education for several years now. However, Idaho had several waivers, which delayed the implementation of that in the state. In the memo, I told you that the state had informed us that they were going to make the graduation rates available March 1. We've now been informed it'll be March 16th, and so we'll see if that really is the date. So don't stay glued to your computers on March 1. Because it is a new way of counting, it is baseline data. We have no idea whether this data for this past spring is better or worse than previous years, because that's not how we counted in previous years. So this is baseline data. The piece that is nice about it is we do have to track students very closely and very carefully to know what happened to them. So it does then provide us some data on the students that are not counted as graduates in this graduation cohort. And by doing that, we know that some of them are still in school and working, and I commend them and commend their teachers for doing that. We know that some of them have opted for a GED, which is another way to proceed in life. However, and we commend them for that, but for the graduation cohort rate, it does not count. But the one issue that I really wanted to point out, because it continues the conversation that we have been having as a school district, is that 20 of the 32 students that are not counted as graduates in that particular cohort have or had known substance abuse issues. And so I think that speaks all the more to the conversations we're having and the work that is being done to try to provide interventions and support for students that are currently experiencing those kind of issues. So.
I had a quick question. You said that we don't have the data for previous years.
Yes.
Can you explain the difficulty or the challenges with trying to go back and obtain that data?
The way that the new graduation rate is figured is you start with your 9th grade cohort, and then any student who exits or enters into that cohort is added or subtracted. But you can only subtract them if you have written documentation of what's happened to them. You've either gotten a request for records from another high school, you hope not, but it could happen. You have written documentation from the parent of the student's death, or you have written documentation that the parent has, or the student has moved to another country, so maybe is returning to their home country or something. So if we went back 2 years and took that senior class, compared it to the freshman class that came in, because of the fact that that was not a requirement at that time, the tracking of each of those individual students is not there.
Okay. So, do you have a way to track if kids become homeschooled also?
Yes. If they withdraw and choose to homeschool, then there is documentation for that too.
Okay. Thank you.
And for me, just a point of clarification, that students on IEPs, even if they graduate, do not count towards the graduation rate.
It depends on their particular IEP. If the IEP is, the goals on the IEP are equivalent with the requirements for a high school diploma in the state of Idaho, they do count. If their IEP goals are not equivalent, then they do not count. Currently, Idaho does not have an alternative diploma, which many states have in that particular situation.
Okay. Sounds good. Is there any questions from the board? All right, we'll go ahead and move along with the board chair report and turn the time over to Asia Pettingale for the student board representative report.
Okay. As of today, these are the school reports from Wood River, Cary, and Silver Creek. For Wood River, their winter frosted formal is set for January 31st. Girls basketball had their first district game at home February 5th, and it's continuing into that weekend. Boys basketball purple out game supporting Chris Herron, and robotics headed to state on February 27th. Cary High School just finished up their government presentations for the seniors as of last week, and their Sadie Hawkins dance was is set for March 14th. Girls basketball districts are being held. Boys' last game before districts is coming up on the 13th. Student Council is having a Fanta Crush Valentine's Day fundraiser to support school activities. Senior local scholarships are in process. NHS Compliment Tuesdays through the rest of the year, where we go and we sit out in front of the elementary hallways or high school hallways and have kids come up and we give them compliments. And we're doing a blood drive for a community service commitment for the NHS. And I did not get an update from the liaison from Silver Creek High School.
All right, I appreciate that update. And just as a reminder that we do have 3 zones up for re-election, zones 1, 3, and 5. Trustee Graves has stated that she will not be running. I will be running again, and as far as I know, Liz, you're still undecided. But as a reminder for us and any members of the public residing in those zones, declarations of candidacy need to be to Ms. Kaufman by March 20th at 5 p.m.
Oh, so this must be
So
wrong.
if you need assistance, I believe those are on the website, as well as you can get those from Ms. Kaufman as well. So, and the election will actually be on May 19th. So, as far as announcements, we have President's Day coming up on Monday. And that Monday, the 16th. Monday the 16th, we also have 3 of our board members, as well as Dr. Holmes and Mr. John Blackman, heading to Idaho State School Boards Association Day on the Hill to be able to discuss with our representatives. I believe Trustee Baker, myself, and Trustee Schwartle are going to be attending that. On February 19th, we have a Strategic Plan Steering Committee meeting here at 4 p.m. Our Policy Committee is meeting on February 19th at 4 p.m. also at the community campus. The Wellness Committee will be meeting here at February 23rd at 4 p.m. The Financial Committee will be meeting February 24th at 4 p.m. And we have a series of strategic plan community meetings set for the last week of February. They are Tuesday the 24th, from 6 to 7:30 up in Hemingway Elementary School. We have one scheduled Wednesday, February 25th, 12 to 1 at the community campus here in Haley. We have one Wednesday, February 25th, 6 to 7:30 at Cary. And we also have one Thursday, February 26th at 6 at Alturas. And that one will be held in Spanish. We also have our regularly scheduled March board meeting on March 10th. With that, I believe that's all the announcements I'm aware of. So before we exit the board chair report, I'd like to thank Asia for coming today. It's been a long day. She's been here since 4, I believe, working on the homework policy. But she has, as scholarship deadlines are here, a lot of essays to write. We wish you luck.
Thanks, Aisha.
Appreciate you being
Drive
here.
safely.
And I believe that concludes the chair report. We'll go ahead and move into business. And we have our Wood River High School course addition, deletion recommendations.
And you have a memo in your packet on that, and if you have any questions, we have both Mr. Nelson and Mr. McGee here from Wood River High School that can speak to any questions you might have.
Go ahead and open it up to the board for any questions at this time.
I want to pull it up first.
I think I do have some questions.
I have a comment. I just wanted to say, I looked through it, it was just fantastic in terms of the way that you moved aside things that didn't have a lot of attendance and consolidated others that seemed to have overlap, to use our resources wisely. And I think we just had a comment about the outdoor program. I can't tell you, that was just a wonderful thing to see. That you might not have read it, but Gwen Carroll has a recommendation, and I think that I don't know if it was you or the...
Mr. Stillings, the PE one?
Okay. No.
No.
What
The
about
outdoor
the
education.
Oh, okay.
Outdoor
Yeah.
education.
Yeah.
Outdoor education and fitness.
And the leadership and fitness, and yeah, that's just...
That's from, I actually have to give credit to Mr. Stillings.
Okay.
He listened to Daniel Pink, and the next day shot that
Oh my
course
goodness.
description off, so
Oh my
there.
goodness. Can I just read it out just really quickly, because this is, to me, one of the things we've needed for a while, and I was just thrilled to see it on here. It says, let's see here, students will increase their level of physical fitness through their engagement in forms of lifetime fitness such as hiking, skiing, and rock climbing, to name a few. Through the use of a variety of outdoor and fitness activities, students will strive to increase self-confidence and esteem. Through team building and other activities, students will aim to relate better to those different than themselves, as well as increase tolerance. And yeah, I think that that's great for our community.
Yeah, I guess I just had a question, especially because Mr. McGonigal made some comments about that, which seemed very similar to this. Is this a course that would have weekend activities or after-school activities, or is it an hour a day? Where am I looking?
Come on up to the microphone.
Thank you for coming and answering our questions, Mr. McGee.
Hold it down.
If it's green, it's good.
Is it green?
We on?
Yeah.
Lights on and no one's home. There's no light. Technology.
Just get the microphone magic.
Hmm, of course.
It wasn't user error. So as far as weekend commitments?
Yeah, I'm just
Right.
curious, or if it's after school, because you'd have to bike and hike and travel for some of these things that are in the
Right.
description.
I'm not exactly sure if Kevin has fleshed out whether there's going to be overnight trips or field trips beyond. It would be actually a period kids would take. But I'm assuming that could be a field trip to the mountain or a snowshoe. We do have block schedule periods, so that's a longer period of time, so we could even use local trails. I know there are some at high school in Oregon. They had mountain bikes for kids, too, that they could ride mountain bikes on campus. They had trails up in Bend, Oregon. So I know there's other models. We were looking at Aspen High School. They have a really robust outdoor education program, and Kevin's been looking at that. So I think it would be important to check out what some of the best practices are nationwide on outdoor ed. But it's exciting that Kevin heard the presentation and has stepped forward to do something new. So.
Yeah, I think it's great. We have all these great resources right here.
And we don't have to recreate the wheel. There's some great programs out there that we can ask about and pilot. So it's compliments to Kevin for taking that.
Is this course still in development?
Yes.
So.
Yes.
One of the things he assured me when he submitted it is that if it was approved, he'd have the curriculum written by the end of the school year.
One question I would have is just be sure that the component of rock climbing meets your insurance requirements.
Exactly.
Already been there.
Thank you. And we also do have a wall.
Diving is also a tricky one.
Oh, yeah. Especially at 7,000
I
feet.
can't remember right now.
Yeah.
But there's 3 that flagged big time.
We do have a rock climbing wall in our school, in our wrestling room, so they could even do some technique in there as well to introduce them to
Right.
it.
Those are just observations.
Thanks for the wisdom. That's good. Thank you.
I know that the outdoor program at Aspen, is the flagship program of their school, and they get national recognition for that.
So that would be a good place for us to start, absolutely.
Outstanding,
Yes.
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Trustee Graves?
This is just a simple question, but looking at some of the added English college, CSI college English classes 102, and what is CPG? We want to add it to the CPG under course. What does CPG stand for? Oh, very simple. Thank you. And so the thought was is that we didn't have as many advanced English classes for seniors.
Mr.
Add
Nelson,
that.
could I defer to you?
We had some issues last year trying to keep the momentum going for seniors last year, and CSI came up and stepped up to offer those classes for us because we have 101 and Stephanie Spindler's offers 101 and a second class 175, I believe. So the second section of those courses we can't offer all of them, but CSI stepped up and said, well, we'll do it for you. And it's fairly inexpensive to get them to do it. And I think right now we have for juniors, we have about 50 potential people that could take AP classes or those classes at CSI next year.
Are these, so college English is what Stephanie Spindler teaches.
Right, 101, I'm not sure.
And then there's 278
That's
here.
not
So
at
it's not,
CSI.
these aren't courses that kids have to pay for.
Um,
Or are they for credit? Or?
well, they get the money back, a portion of the money back. I think it's 75% of the money they get that they pay.
Unless they're free and reduced, and then
Right,
the
so
state
they
will
pay
cover 100%.
$46 a credit. What we were excited about was CSI, if we can get 12 kids, they'll run it. I think we had 8 or 9 to start this year. A few of them dropped, but it cost us just 3 students to run those classes. So it's a very inexpensive way to run a class. And plus, it's right on the college campus, so we really appreciate that's right next door.
Some of the advanced opportunities the state of Idaho offers is juniors can have up to $200 a year to spend on the state's tab for advanced opportunities, and seniors can have $400. And it was originally set at 75% paid by the state, 25% paid by the student or the parent. But now with free and reduced lunch eligible kids, the state will pay all of it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions from the board? All right. We will also go over the budget development guide and principles.
Okay, once again, you have a memo in your packet, so I won't read it all to you other than to just point out that we're trying to set some principles for ourselves as we bring you a proposed budget. And one of those is that the budget remain consistent as our enrollment remains consistent. So it's like, I was about ready to date myself. Well, here we go. The Sears toy catalog that came out at Christmas time,
Love the catalog.
and you'd sit there and you'd make a long wish list. Well, we have a long wish list, but we have to stay within reality. The second thing is to recognize that we are extremely blessed to be in Blaine County and the resources that we have provided to us here. There's a table in that memo that shows the number of teachers and non-certified staff, which is oftentimes parapros, that we are over and above the state allocation. And otherwise, we would be like many other places in Idaho with huge class sizes and not near so many offerings for our students. They wouldn't have near the selection we have now. Another piece that we want to recognize is that we want to allocate for equity. And there's a lot of that work has already been done in this school district. There's a little illustration of equity. You see all those kids are trying to get to at least the same bar, if not above. However, what it takes to get them there is different for each child. Some children need more support than others, depending on the situation. What do we do to at least get them to the minimum, if not above that? And so in the past, we have done things like the curriculum writing that we're in the midst of is very much about establishing equity. So it doesn't matter which Algebra 1 teacher you have, which third grade teacher you have, the expectations and the outcomes should be the same. Our Voice 2 program is a program established on providing equity for some of our students. Pre-K, the dual immersion program, the expansion that we did this year in the GATE program to try to reach more kids in the south end of the valley. Big Picture that we just heard about is another example of whatever it takes to get all students there. And so continuing in this vein of allocating equity resources in an equitable manner. And so establishing some formulas for allocating staff and building operational funds. Formulas that are based not only on enrollment, but also there's some weighting involved on students that require additional resources. It might be English language learners, it might be GATE students, it could be students just needing additional assistance in reading. And so we will be bringing you a budget that is based on these principles and have some additional ways of addressing student needs identified in it without raising the budget. How about that?
That's good to hear. So, is there any questions, comments? Trustee Baker.
I have an on-the-spot question.
Okay.
You may not have the answer to.
All right. Well, if I don't, I'll find it for you.
Do you know what our enrollment this year was compared to last year and how much it's changed since the beginning of the year approximately?
I know compared to last year, we were up 22 students. How about that?
At the beginning of the year?
At the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And where it is right now, I don't know, but I did ask Mr. Chatterton earlier today to do a check on that because we have gotten, with the second semester starting, we have gotten some additional enrollment. And so he's having his staff pull those numbers, so we'll have a, because we are basing on what enrollment is, so we want to do a double check to see,
principal, so I was
yeah,
curious
to see if it has changed any. But even if it has, it's one classroom overall.
So you're still checking?
Still checking.
I just gave him that assignment this morning.
Oh, well. Come on, Mike. Thank you.
Any other questions? Trustee Graves.
So I'm looking at the table, the elementary FTE by formula, your first one.
Yep.
So what's the formula?
Okay, let me just walk you through the table.
Can you just walk that? Sure. I mean, I think I understand, but I'd like you to walk me
All right,
through
so
that.
this is on page 3 of 4. So if you are estimating the enrollment in this is at make-believe schools, so don't try to apply this to any of our schools. If you are estimating the enrollment next year in first grade is going to be 62 students. By board policy, that class size is to be at around 20. And so we divide by 20. And we find out that we need to have 3.10 classrooms. Well, of course, you don't really have 3.10. And then third grade on up through high school, by board policy, is 25. So you divide by 25. You find out that you need 18.38 teachers. Well, we're not cutting any teachers in half or pieces or whatever. So we round it up to 19 as the base. And then we add on additional teachers based on student weighting, which is on page 4 of 4. Where you take the enrollment of that school, just the number of student bodies, which is 416, and then you take the number of students that are receiving additional services. So some students might be counted 2 or 3 times in that weighting, and then that would give us indication of which schools need additional teachers, which schools need more reading teachers, which schools need less reading teachers, which schools need more operational funds, and those kinds of things because of the additional needs they have there. You want me to do the secondary one, too?
Nope.
Okay.
I have a question on that.
Thank you.
That was a great question, Catherine, because I have a follow-up on it. So after the weighting and you're adding additional resources, if the weighting didn't substantially change the number, when you encounter issues like you have a 4th grade class that's like 3.5 and a 5th grade class that's at like 3.5, are you leaving decisions on how that would happen to the building administrators?
Yes.
And is that where there's a possibility that you would have combined classes?
You could have a multi-age class. There is one particular instance right now where there's a school that has, at one particular grade level, a higher than normal number of students with intensive needs. And so rather than just saying, because we've always had 4 class sections at this grade level, we're going to still have 4, they could, as a staff, make a decision that they want to make those classes even smaller because of the intensity of needs. And they could say, instead of having our normal 4, we're going to have 5. But to make that 5, that means at another place we're going to have a multi-age classroom to be able to take care of that need. And so that is a conversation that we've had with principals and will continue to have with principals, that once the allocation is made, they should be working with their staffs to figure out what's the best way to use that in their own building.
So it's kind of made at the building level to meet the needs of that building. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
I just wanted to say this is one of the best memos I've ever gotten. It's just so clear and it's so helpful, and it gave me just what I needed to see and make some decisions. Obviously, the goals, the last thing that you say, which is district goals guide budget priorities, that will be determined by the strategic plan, although we have interim goals right now. So it's just a beautiful roadmap.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you're going to, I hope that you send it to the financial committee membership.
Okay. Yeah, if I could add on, since you mentioned the goal piece, we are kind of in between an old strategic plan and a new strategic plan. So we're just right now using the sacred trust that we're given as a school district, both by the state, the federal government, and our own community, is to make sure all kids graduate high school, college, and or career ready. And so that's our sacred trust, and that's what we're working on as a goal right now, with absence of bigger goals. So.
Great. Thank you.
All right, I appreciate that, and appreciate the fact that we're all trying to do it within the constraint of our current budget, which we're extremely fortunate to have because of our taxpayers.
We have a very blessed community situation.
Yes. So, all right. With that, I'll go ahead and open it up for any further public comment, if there be any. Penny, would you mind stepping up to the table and Mike? I'd like to thank Heather Crocker for our personal microphone assistant.
I just wanted to comment that the addition of the CSI English classes, I think has been a really, really positive experience for the students that have participated in it this year. And given the fact that we have CSI right next to the high school, it's such a nice hand-in-glove kind of a fit for students who need to kind of go on. And I think particularly having it at CSI where they leave the high school, they take on a different persona when they're college students. They're not just seniors at the high school goofing off. They're a little more serious. So it's been a really positive thing. So I'm hoping as we move forward, as the needs arise, we can do more of that.
All right.
Okay, thank
Appreciate your comment. And for the record, that was Penny Thayer. Thanks. Okay. With that, we'll go ahead and move into the decision portion of our agenda. And we'll start out with the consent agenda, where we have the consideration of minutes, our regularly January board meeting, January 20th, 2015, and our special meeting of the board, January 20th, 2015 as well. We have application for study travel by student group Lisa Hoskins, Wood River High School business teacher, certified employee request for child rearing leave. We have acceptance of monthly financial report, payment of bills, consideration of personnel exiting and entering. Lori, if you wouldn't mind sharing those.
Sure. Under classified staff, recommending for hire, Valerie Olson, 16-hour weekend custodian at the community campus. Under classified coaching staff, recommending for hire, we have Chelsea Cutler, tennis coach at Wood River High School. Under certified staff, exiting, we have Megan Murphy, and she is an elementary teacher, second grade at Haley Elementary. We have a resignation, Jill Bailey, a reading teacher K through 5 at Alturas Elementary. That's effective 8/31/15. We have a retirement, Marcia Azorski, English Social Studies teacher at Wood River Middle School. That's effective 8/31/15. We have a resignation effective that same date, 8/31/15, for Scott Chafin, and English Language Arts teacher at Wood River Middle School. And under administrative staff exiting, we have Tom Bailey, elementary principal at Haley Elementary.
Okay, and is Kathleen McCabe also on that for classified exiting?
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Under classified staff exiting, we have Kathleen McCabe, and Education Foundation Director at Community Campus. Sorry, my eyes went down.
No, that's just fine. And we also have application for study travel by a student group, Elise DeClotz, Wood River High School special education teacher. Do I hear a motion to accept the consent agenda as read?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. All right. We have the resolution calling for annual trustee election, and the board has, and it's been posted on the district site for the resolution. And this is basically a recommendation from ISBA, and it spells out who's responsible for what exactly in the upcoming trustee election on February 19th. And prior to it being signed and submitted to the county clerk, Ms. Jolene Dredge, we as a board need to approve that. Do I hear a motion to approve the resolution calling for the annual trustee election?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion or questions? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And at this point in the meeting, I'll turn the time over to Trustee Graves. I'm going to recuse myself from discussion and deliberation on this because my mother-in-law works for the Cary Library.
Okay. So this is for the consideration of gifting the portable building that's down in Cary to the Cary Library Board. We discussed it last month. Does anybody have any questions about that?
I move we give the library the building.
I'll second that motion.
Okay. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Happy birthday, Cary.
We've got some Cary folks
Cary
back
Library.
there that are,
All right.
You're welcome.
and one of the future users, they're finally going to sleep.
Do we have the deed?
Oh,
So, all right. And I'll go ahead and rejoin us now. We have the consideration of course addition deletion recommendations, which was presented to us earlier.
I don't see. Which I missed.
That was deleted
That was pulled.
due
Oh.
to the...
Got it. Thank you.
Committee needs more time.
Okay.
Okay, so the consideration of the course addition deletion that we were presented with earlier. Normally, we like the two-touch policy, but it's a little time sensitive as we need to start planning for next year's courses and scheduling those. So do I hear a motion to accept the course addition deletion recommendations as presented?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. And on to the consideration of the Blaine County School District draft policies. Policy 203.7, strategic planning, which is a new policy. 206.1, Board of Trustees records, which is a new policy. Policy 206.2, storage and retrieval of business records, which is a new policy. 206.3, inventory records of fixed assets, which is a new policy. 206.4, personnel files, record retention and destruction and procedure, which is new. Policy 420.1, leadership premiums for instructional employees, which is a new policy. Number 426.3, examinations for employees and workplace restrictions, which is a revision, and 603.1, special education philosophy, programs, and models, which is a revision. We were presented these last month. We've had a month to look over them and
Chairman
make any
Benyon?
comments.
Excuse me, I just want it for the board's note. Since last time you saw this, a month ago, we've only had one change, and that was on policy 206.4, personnel files, record retention, and destruction procedure. The only changes that were made were in the bottom couple of paragraphs, and it was a rewording of sentence structure and so forth. It changed no content. It was just mostly clerical. But that's the only one I received a change on.
All right.
The sentence didn't make any sense.
Okay.
So I have just a question, and I'm sorry, this is going to be a little bit confusing, but there was a part, I had made some notes on here, and I couldn't find my source document, and I still can't on the Dropbox, I don't know why. But there was something on here that said, fixed asset means property that is tangible in nature, including real property, buildings, and improvements, equipment, materials, and supplies, which will not be consumed or converted to cash in the current accounting period. Do you recognize where that was from, that particular sentence?
I do.
Okay, good.
Fixed access.
Because I wanted to put, I was wondering if we could put intellectual property in there as well.
It's
That's what I'm trying to find.
It's right here.
It's
Oh, good, okay.
206.3.
Yep. Yep. Okay, so a physical inventory of all fixed assets owned by the district will be maintained and updated yearly. I would like to say an intellectual property.
I believe you're talking about the next paragraph down where it says fixed asset
Yep,
means
exactly.
property that is
That's right.
tangible in nature.
Exactly.
Okay, there's 206.3.
Yep.
So you're talking about fixed asset, right?
Right. Because that's been, the courts have decided that intellectual property is property. So I wanted to make sure. That seemed like it was a little bit of a gap in there.
I would suspect that we would need to have that reviewed by attorneys before we made a change like that.
That's fine.
Possibly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right.
I mean, I don't
makes
have
sense
enough
to me.
information
Yeah.
to...
Exactly.
Well, I can tell you in a previous life where I worked with intellectual property quite a bit at Hopkins, we had all employees, when they were working with us, they had to sign that whatever they developed was the intellectual property of Johns Hopkins University.
Right.
So you could say that the curriculum we are writing right now is intellectual property and belongs to the school district. So I don't know if you would need to consult an attorney about sticking that in there. What the flip side might be is consulting an attorney on whether we want to just trademark it, which is really easy, or if we want to actually register it, which then does involve attorney and costs money.
Curriculum is designed to developed by guidelines and rules and regulation, whereas intellectual property could be things created intrinsically within the district that then could be a saleable item moving down the road.
Right. Either one of them could
there
be.
is a distinction there, I think, to some degree, as it would be or developed by us as an asset to this body. So
Well,
I think Liz makes actually a pretty good point
Yeah.
there.
No, I'm saying you should put it
Particularly
in
in this
there.
day and age. It's
Yeah,
not like
you're saying you should put
Yes,
it in.
because
Yeah.
curriculum could even be sold. The previous district that I worked for, we wrote a curriculum, we copyrighted it, and they've sold it to other districts.
So is there any reason that we should suspect that just adding that in there would not create an issue without further information added? I mean, I'm okay with
Does it
doing
need
it.
to be reviewed, or can we just amend the
I think
thing
you
as we
could,
stand?
We can amend
my
it.
opinion is you could just amend it.
Yeah.
Then on the flip side of how do you want to record that this is our property? Do you want to just copyright it? Do you want to trademark it? What do you want to do?
And how do you value it? Because you would need to value it, wouldn't you, if it has value? If it's intellectual property that has...
Current threshold that we have right now is $5,000. Anything with a unit value over $5,000 is considered a fixed asset.
Do you have to value it if you haven't sold it yet? You just list it, this belongs to us.
I don't know.
I just have a thought that maybe we pull this 206.3 out because it looks like there might be a couple different places that we would, if we're just adding it, we would have to add it, and we may want some further discussions on this.
Yeah. Is there any urgency
So-
to have this in place, that we need to have it reviewed before our next board meeting?
No, I don't think it's that urgent, no. This is just basically the retention and inventory of our well, you're talking about a different one. So, yeah, you could just pull that out. You guys write policies, so
Right.
you write it the way you think it should read, and then if you need suggestions or research on that, I'm more than happy to do that.
I just wanted to understand the urgency of it, if it existed, because I would be more in favor of pulling it out as well.
Yep. And the word software, I think, should be in there because we have a lot invested in software in this district, too, as part of our inventory.
Possibly.
Okay. Well, with
So
that,
I'd make one motion. I'd make a motion that we vote on all of the draft policies with the exception of 206.3 for review at a later date.
I'll second that motion.
all in favor? Or, excuse me, any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So, John, would you please take that back to the, excuse me, I apologize. Dr. Holmes, can we task you with tasking John to look at that through the policy committee?
Actually, I need a revision form from the board on how they would like that to read. So when I go back to the policy committee, they know what they're looking at doing by your direction.
We will get that for you.
As much as I'd really like to task John. I know.
That was last year.
That was last year. Now we get to task her, and she can do what she wants.
All right. Well, that brings us to items board deems necessary. Are there any at this time? All right. Let's see. For our next board meeting, possible anticipation of the 206.3 coming back to us, as well as we will have the consideration of recommendation for insurance brokers with us as well. We also have a lot of opportunities for the strategic plan in this next month, and we really encourage everyone, please come out, take the survey, come to the meetings, make your voice heard, because if it's not heard now, it won't have the opportunity to be. So please help us in our strategic planning as we continue down that path. And do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Meeting adjourned at 7.
Really, that is a record. Great meeting.
In the house.